Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP. We are here today to talk about the finale of Jet Lag the Game Season 10 in Australia. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I am joined today by Sasha. How you doing, Sasha?
So good. Desert Power has made it, baby. And listen, I just have to make the joke for everyone because when this podcast is going live, it's my birthday. So Cancer season has made it. Listen, just like Michelle said, I am manifesting my Cancer season, and the girlies have won. All right, baby. That's all I know. The matriarchy wins again.
I was like, Cancer energy doesn't quite have the same ring to it as Scorpio energy.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. But if you are a chaotic, emotionally manipulative person, you know what Cancer energy is. And if you've ever dated a Cancer, you know what that means.
There you go. What a finale here to talk through. I really enjoyed it. I think that this season really clicked, really worked for me, I think. As they usually do here on Jet Lag, but a very exciting finish, and Toby has now become the winningest guest of all time.
Winners win. I'm obsessed. First of all, Toby, I have so many questions. Like, one, can you teach me math? Two, where do you get them earrings from? Right? Like,
I figured she made them,
Toby,
right?
please I will pay, obviously, but please let me know. I need to get on the
Open up an
bandwagon
Etsy store.
expeditiously. All right. But oh my God, what a finale, Taryn. The last 10 minutes, chaos, and I couldn't believe it. It was wild. So much fun. And this is the episode where I was like, yes, I'm glad we're doing a reaction series to this.
Yeah, this was really well done. Like I think it's a testament to how they designed the game and the territories in such a way that it ended in this kind of standoff where it very much felt um like I don't watch a lot of anime,
Mhm.
but the kinds of anime that I have enjoyed in the past are the ones where they're like doing this like tactical back and forth of like, like if I move my piece here,
Oh
then
my
I know
God.
he'll move his piece there. So I'll make this move. Oh no. Like,
That's just an Indian soap opera. I don't know what you're talking about, where every single person has to give their reaction to a move that was made.
yeah. I mean, it was very fun watching them.
So
It was a
good.
great start to the episode to be like, okay, so this is how we see things. We're going to try and take 3 territories. Cut to Sam and Toby. We think they can only take 2 territories. Cut back, and this is all about who can predict the other players the best. And
Yes.
it really sets up to have this momentum for Ben and Adam, where they had the desert power, they had all the challenges they were winning, and they had this secret smart plan that they were going to enact. And it seemed as though Sam and Toby were one step behind at the start because they were like, they can only get
Mhm.
2. But Sam and Adam, or Ben and Adam were like, we can get 3.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, no, don't do this. Don't lose already. Because like I said, in my mind, Ben and Adam are just all things are always going to come up. Ben and Adam, you just have to kind of be 17 steps ahead of them if you're able to, I think, beat them. In my mind, that's how I see them. So I'm watching that. And then I said, no, Sam and Toby, wake up, baby. We can't do this because they're like, oh, we're going to play defense, but we're not even in the same game right now. And they're talking about, well, I just think we're gonna win, Ben and Adam, because they're like, impossible. How are they gonna win? They have money, but they don't have time. Da 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 da. Meanwhile, there's a whole nother area that the boys just have no idea exists.
Yeah, and I think what impressed me a lot about the finale is that this kind of back and forth
Yes.
gameplay, I think it's difficult to portray in a compelling way.
Mhm.
And the way that they put it together really worked, I think, where like the plans were hidden from us for a certain amount of time. And then, and you were like, I was trying to be like, okay, so they haven't told me the plan yet, which means this is a plan that still could possibly in motion. Then when it was like, oh, the plan might be dead, and they still hadn't told me what the plan was or why it would be dead, I was like, oh, it probably is dead. And I was like trying to follow those threads, but there were so many
Yes.
of them that it never felt like I knew exactly what was going to happen until like the avalanche comes at the end of the episode or toward the end of the episode. And it was just very fun. Just very fun back and forth there of like, oh, I think this team has the edge. Oh, no. Oh, wait, no, it's this team.
Yeah, I think to me, being a viewer and not being able to predict everything just feels exciting. I think you and I majorly cover Big Brother, right? What we find most frustrating about Big Brother Endgame is that we're like, well, we know this person's gonna freaking win because it's gonna be a physical competition, and and then if we can kind of almost telegraph who's gonna sit at the final two, and then maybe there'll be some fun, jury will get in the game and mess it up, but usually we can predict it after a certain point. So we're used to those reality TV shows, and now we're watching Jet Lag where I don't even know which airport they're in because I can't keep track. I was like, well, you said you're going here. Now you ended up here. And now you're in the offices of Virgin Australia. Now, how have we ended up here?
Yeah, Big Brother needs the live feeds in order to be
Correct.
because they can't edit a show to be unpredictable. But this was very fun. So the thing for me, I have been since the very start waiting for the Gold Coast thing to come back. Like I was
Yes,
like,
me
why
too.
did
Me
they
too.
point that out so specifically at the start of the season? And so what I think was really good about that is that even though I knew in my head that it surely would come back, they still tricked me
Yeah.
because I thought, oh, I see what's happening here. You brought it up at the start because Toby said it, but then Ben and Adam, that's their secret plan. That's what they're going to do. And then it wasn't until a bit later that I was like, oh, wait, it's not what they're doing? Then who's going to do Gold Coast?
Because they had completely sold me that Sam and Toby weren't going there. So I said, what? And I'm screaming, I'm crying, throwing up, being like, what the hell? You talked about this specific secret speakeasy airport, and now it's just not going to be a thing? Because Ben and Adam, again, I really also with you. I think we talked about this episode 1 where no way Ben and Adam don't know or eventually can't figure it out because there's always a moment, right, in previous seasons where Adam will be like, wait a minute. And then, right, the whole plan will come to be. But desert power maybe equals Delulu when you leave the desert.
The desert power evaporated. The meter just went down. They did not have their desert power anymore.
You can watch our desert power meter just draining by the minute.
Yeah. If you take a look at the desert power meter that we've had up this whole episode, it's a lot lower than it was.
It's a lot lower.
What was fun about this was that, like, seeing the end result, it feels as though ultimately Ben and Adam were perhaps doomed from the start. But they never knew that, and we never knew that. And so it was this fun battle of like, oh man, they're fighting to make their original plan happen. It can't work. They have to go to plan B. And they're begging people and they're trying to find the right place to go and they're heading up into offices.
That's my type of chaos. You know what I mean? Because to me, running around chicken with head cut off in an airport, give me all of that. That is why we used to watch The Amazing Race. Remember when The Amazing Race had this? When people would be like, it's fine. I'm just going to get on a different flight and no one else knows about. Muhahaha. Next thing you know, that flight is delayed 17 hours and you're screwed. You're done. It's curtains for you. Phil meeting you at the starting line being like, don't even bother, right? This is what we missed. And the fact that these two guys are just vibing out. That man said, go upstairs. They said it must mean the closest stairs to me.
Walk, don't run to the gate, please.
We're in Disney rules. Like,
I
you can't
love-
run in Disney.
I love the worker that was like, these guys went upstairs into the office.
And they're telling each other.
And Adam was like, they told us to.
And that lady's probably like, sir. The thing is, people get too cute at airports. This is, again, maybe I'll say this for Americans at least, but I feel like we just be doing the most at these airports and we're not understanding that it's federal land and you do not want to get put on no-fly list. So don't just be shocked. Can you imagine they walk in? Because on the Layover podcast, they said that they went into their break room. So why is no one there being like, who the F are you?
Why is it open to the public?
Like, what is that? You can bring in water in the Australian airport, full size water, check in, no problem. Not check in, sorry, carry on. What? And then now I'm like, can you bring knives on too? Is that the vibe?
Maybe you can. Maybe that's how they, where
What
they
they
were
got
able to keep
going
the
on.
knives the whole time.
Because what they got going on in Australia, man, I'm telling you, that whole sequence was so chaotic. Because I'm trying to take notes, right? Like, being like, oh, let me be smart. They're now going to Brisbane. Oh, they're here. They're now going to here. I cannot keep track. My notes just say, what the hell is going on?
I feel like the way that this concludes was so perfect. Where like after all of this, like plan B, plan C, rushing offices, they finally like, oh wait, no, we have it. Like we've actually succeeded. Let's jump on this plane. Only to have the moment, which is just a phenomenal moment on the plane, where Adam's just like, oh, Ben.
No, I'm so surprised they didn't pause on Ben's face. Because Ben's whole reaction. Because like I tell, maybe I'm gullible, but again, in my mind, Adam just knows many things. So I'm like, no, Sam, I feel like you've played Toby. You've got her to go to Tasmania for some stupid reason. And I hate this for us. It could have been so easy, so simple, blah, blah, right? Like, that's where my mind is going. Because it doesn't make sense otherwise. And the next thing you know, poor Ben's face. Ben is like, what? What do you mean? Like, what? Who? Like Jennifer Lawrence, right? Like during Hot Ones. What do you mean? It doesn't make sense. I don't understand. And then he goes, uh-oh.
This is the best way to end a season, I think, because,
Yes.
there are plenty of ways that a game can end, right? And sometimes there's like a team that's just like so far in the lead that like everybody knows, the audience and the players, that like it's probably gonna be this result. And then sometimes there's a situation where like one team has a pretty good idea that they're about to win. The audience knows they're probably about to win, but then one team still doesn't know that they're about to lose, which is more fun. But this was, I think, the most fun, where like the audience and the players, the players that were about to lose were kind of like in this spot where like we still didn't know who was going to win until like 5 minutes before this episode ended, and then the crushing blow being in just that one moment was so good.
So good. And again, the setup, y'all, right? Ben and Adam have been just beat down by this flight system over and over, right? Like that's their saga is, Ben and Adam versus flights or flight deaths on challenge rivals immediately. But it's just them fighting, but then somehow always getting their way, close, cutting it close. Oh my God, we're so sweaty. You know what? We didn't even break a sweat. And look, we got economy plus. We're killing it. Things are coming up. And you probably in their mind, they're like, these stupid idiots. Can you believe they would do some dumb shit like this?
There was a little bit of overconfidence, I think, a little bit of underestimation of the other team. Like, I think that it became clear that Toby was not doing that, right? Like, Toby was very much trying to calculate every conceivable option. But there's this moment, I think, with Ben and Adam where they were like, But why would they do that? Like, what if they have another plan? Nah.
And that again, this is not shade, but, like, I feel like that happens to Sam
Mhm.
way more than it does to Ben and Adam, where Sam will be like, "I mean, they could do this, but infinite things have to go right for them to be able to do this, and I don't think that's possible." Cut to literally every single thing happening correctly. So that's why, again, I'm so caught in the jet lag, uh, cut, but that's on me.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Well,
need to get out of that.
I think it also comes down to, like, that was, I think, intentional by Sam
Mhm,
and Toby, that
mhm.
they intentionally slowed their game down to make sure that
Yes.
they were thinking through every option so that they could be reactive, while, on the other side, Ben and Adam were like, "We think we see a path to guaranteed victory. Let's just push toward it, because if we can do this, there's no way they can stop us." Um, but there was a way, and it was
Could you
Gold
do
Coast.
that? Could you, like, slow it down that much and play defense?
I think you know what? I feel like I have both in me. Like,
Okay.
it depends on the situation,
Yeah.
because if there have been times, like, I would liken this to, I play a lot of, like, puzzle Sudoku. And sometimes when I find a very unique and interesting solution, I'm like, "Oh, this is brilliant. Let me just do it. Like,
Yeah.
I've solved it. I know this." And then I'm like, "Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. I screwed up." And then sometimes I'm like, "Let me be careful. Let me make sure I'm
Okay.
not making any mistakes." It's just less fun that way.
Yes. You get it, okay? Because I, in my mind, would be like, "Yeah, you should slow down. That is the right thing to do." But then actually actively, like, making your brain slow down on finale day and being like, "Yeah, let me look up what's going on." Toby is a saint. How can you sit there and write all that stuff? Because I don't think I could literally write stuff down. My brain would be like, "No, we just gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta chase them. Whatever they do, we just gotta copy paste. I don't care how. We gotta do it." Just
Well,
no sense.
that's what I love doing at the end of Big Brother seasons. It's just like every possible permutation of events.
Oh my god. But the thing is, it's because it's so predictable. You have to.
Fair. But I mean, I think we've seen this in previous seasons as well, where it's
Mhm.
like that style of game can also
Yeah.
mess you up, because if you think that you've tracked every possible solution, then it could make you then overconfident in thinking that your conclusion is correct. But the reality is you maybe missed something like Gold Coast, or maybe like, being able to run after a train station. So there are some tricks there that might catch you up as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it was really well edited, and I know in the layover they said they on purpose took out them
Mm.
saying Gold Coast Airport over and over again, which I really appreciated because, like I said, they had me in the first half. They just did.
Yeah, I think, like, the trick to that was that, like, in my mind, Gold Coast was like the hack of the
Yes,
game,
yes.
the one that they had thought of. But I think that in reality, they had a bunch of different plans,
Oh,
of
okay. Yeah.
potential plans that they might have done given different circumstances. Gold Coast just ended up being the one that they went with, and
Mhm.
so, I think that's what tripped me up, because I was like, "If Gold Coast is your hack, is the one thing that you've thought of, how have you not talked about it all season long? How is that not the basis of your entire strategy from the
Mhm.
beginning, knowing that you wanted to play this way?" And I think the reality is it was just one potential option, and it's the one that happened
Yeah.
to work the best in the way that the game played out. And so that's, I think, part of why it also worked really well in the edit, um, because we didn't see the other potential options either, and so it really did feel like they might have forgotten about it.
And meanwhile, they're like, you thought we forgot, but here we are."
And just, like, how fortuitous for the show that Ben and Adam mistakenly thought that they were going south instead of north. Like, uh,
I don't even understand how.
I don't either, but it worked out. So they talked on the Labor podcast that there was apparently, like a flight that was leaving at the exact same time that was for a similar price that was
Right.
going to like Tasmania or whatever. But then, Sam and Toby were like, I don't think there was. Like if there was, it must have been private or something. So like, I don't know how it happened. There was a part of me that was like, did they juke? Like, did they intentionally take a flight that started going south and then went north in order to trick Ben and Adam
No,
into going
not
to
your
Sydney?
brain. No, that's too strategic. Now come back to Earth, Taran.
I was just like, how did they make that happen?
That's what I'm saying. In my mind, Taran, they're not that they had assumed they would go on this flight. In my mind, the little like pegs had shown up and gone to another spot. And that's why they were like, they're going south because I see the little pin in the south. No. Maybe do you think that airport is just that low?
Well, that also, if you haven't listened to the Labor podcast, apparently was the airport that Adam
Oh, yes.
accidentally booked a flight for, and then didn't go to that one. They went to the other one.
Oh my gosh. Which again, hilarious because everything was coming up Sam and Toby, even when they were flopping in their challenges.
So great moment there. Another interesting thing from the Layover podcast was that they were planning for a potential like standoff at the Gold Coast,
Yes.
where like if Ben and Adam had realized that they needed to go to the Gold Coast in order to combat Sam and Toby, that they would have had to like stand on like in the middle on the border, like back and forth, like then at the last minute try to put money down because they only needed to have one, whereas Ben and Adam needed to have both.
Yeah.
And so it would be hard to make sure you have both if both teams are there and able to cross over the border at will. So they were really like thinking and planning and overthinking and over planning and making sure that they had every possible conceivable way.
Yeah, and I think that's where we were thrown off because they're saying we see Toby like sitting there with her calculator and her notebook saying, "Hey, we really need to have a $900 buffer," right? That's like the first thing we hear them talk about. And if, and then being like, "Oh, but 30% of the steel would be less or more than 900, something like that. So we need that money, long story short, because it's our only buffer. So let's not do the steal." It's just they had, I feel like every step just thought through how much money they need.
I really thought they would need the steal. I really was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's
me too.
huge that they drew a steal here. If they do the steal, they block Ben and Adam from whatever their plan is, and it's basically game over." But the reality was they actually had a better plan than Ben and Adam, and so it was right for them to not risk the money.
But the magic of editing, baby. Turns out vibes only, but no, it was all planned.
I still feel like probably the biggest mistake that Ben and Adam made was dropping the 2000 in Tasmania, I think.
Yeah.
Which was, again, I think there's a version of this game where that makes sense, but like with the welcome bonus, I still come back to the welcome bonuses. I'm very curious to know if this thought is wrong because there's some kind of mechanic that I didn't recognize would break it. But like if they had just gone there, dropped $1, left, and just continued to collect welcome bonuses, it's just like forcing another team to go to that location without getting a welcome bonus is just so massive, I think. And so I think that the way they described it was that they didn't realize at the start of the game that money would be so tight because they'd made so much money so quickly. They were like, yeah, let's just drop $2,000 on this one. And perhaps if they had realized what the economy would look like throughout the 4 or 5 days, then they would have been a little more stingy on the deposit there. But
yeah. Wait, listen, hindsight 2020. That's hard.
Yeah.
But in my mind, they were making all the money, right? Like Desert, they were killing it. Granted, like they do talk a lot about how long each thing took them. Valid. But still, Desert Power was going crazy for them.
I love that they drew the library challenge also.
Yes. so funny.
I really wanted them to do it.
Can you imagine us just laughing to be like, we know it can't happen. Oof, so good. Just so good. But all in all, I really think it was a great season, but their editing really took it to the next level where they left out just enough from us where we thought we knew and we
Yeah,
sure did not.
and in a way as well where, like, it didn't make me feel like I was missing out.
Yeah.
Like,
No way.
Survivor will do this a lot, where they'll just, like, completely omit details in order to make it more unpredictable, but then the events don't make any sense.
Correct.
And you're just like, "Wait, why did that happen, though?" And then they usually never even bother to go back and explain it later.
The
Whereas,
cast
like
will tell us later.
yeah,
Like, you
exactly.
didn't know that me and him were actually best friends and formed a 2 people alliance
Yeah.
day 1.
Yeah, I actually had an idol, they just never showed it in the show. So, but here, like, they're obviously omitting things from us, but they eventually tell us what it was in the same episode. And also, the thing that they end up doing is something that they forecast, or they sort of foreshadowed in the very beginning. So it doesn't even feel like it comes out of the blue when they explain it. It feels like, ow, the thing, they did the thing, and then Toby said the thing.
So good. Just again, all of it was perfection. And now if you're just listening to us for some odd reason, go watch this season. It's so good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was Jet Lag season 10, but we're not quite done with talking about Jet Lag or season 10 because I've been in contact with the enemy.
The number 2 podcast.
The number 2
Don't punch down, Taran. Jeez.
Listen, I didn't say anything. And they have very kindly agreed to come on the number 1 Jet Lag podcast, to promote themselves
Weird to
on a larger platform.
us helping these little YouTubers. Wow. We're so charitable.
Adam, Ben, Sam, and Toby will all be joining us as we talk with them about the season and the show. And I'm really curious about like their game design process and the way that they structure their show and stuff like that. So plenty to talk to them about. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. And y'all know, I'm here for the vibe. So I just can't wait to ask them snack zone questions. And I'm just listen, and maybe I'll introduce Dan culture to them. This is gonna be so good.
Yes, so stay tuned. We expect that this interview will drop the day after this podcast drops. So stay tuned for that, which should be a day after the finale airs on YouTube. They also advertised their new Nebula show, The Getaway, which is very exciting to me.
We've already been tagged by the RHAP patrons to say, here you go, continued coverage. And Taran, when I was watching it at first, I was like, okay, like it's the traders on the move. It's cute. I'll watch it. I'm excited. But then, Taran, they dropped the hammer.
Yeah. So the premise is, as Sasha alluded to, it's basically the traders. If you've seen the traders, where like secretly there's a trader or a group of traders amongst the faithful. That show. It's like that with YouTubers, only everyone is secretly a trader.
So good. Everyone's the mole, baby.
No, and they don't know that. So all of them think that they are the sole individual snitch, I believe is the term that they're using. They all think that they are the snitch. They think that they are the special character on the season that is doing all the things. Meanwhile, every single one of them is the snitch.
Taran, can I tell you my worst fear? That I think I'm a main character on a show, and turns out I'm not.
It's like the reverse Joe Schmo.
Yeah, I will revoke like my to be like, yeah, use me however you want, edit me. I'll rip that contract up because there's no way I'm getting. That is so embarrassing. That's like I can't.
I think my favorite part of the trailer was Sam explaining the concept of like, we thought it'd be good to have all of them be traitors or be snitches. And then Ben in the background being like, yeah, we thought it'd be funny.
Again, I would love to be an Adam, but I know that I'm a Ben because he is so funny to me. Like everything Ben says, I'm like, yeah, he has not missed once. So what do you mean? And then he's like, yeah, it's just hilarious. Everything else is boring. He's not never lied, King. Never lied.
Yeah. So listen, I'm very excited to watch that. That's going to be a Nebula only show. So I'm sure we will talk about it in some form or fashion, but I'm definitely excited for that. But that's for now is I believe what we have for you here on the Jet Lag podcast.
Yes. So first of all, thank you, Taran. I must say, because I was watching Jet Lag on my own and I didn't know anyone in this universe, RHAP universe, was watching. Next thing I know, Taran is streaming Jet Lag. And I said, what? One of us? How? When? We never talked about this. And now, like us talking pre-show for Big Brother to now, like fully doing a whole reaction series to it. Just thank you for coming up with this idea, like, and bringing me along because this was so much fun.
Well, thank you for doing with me. It was you were a great podcasting partner.
Yeah, period. Look at us. Okay. We're killing it.
And thank you to the listeners. Thank you to everyone who checked this out. I know it's a little bit different from our usual fare, but honestly, I really feel like there is a lot of innovation going on YouTube and other places that aren't necessarily, broadcast television or streaming services, if there's a difference. And I think that this is like one of the shining examples of that. I really feel like there's so many interesting things being done with this show. I really think that these guys are so talented, and I think that any other show that they come up with, I imagine is going to be really good as well. That's why I'm excited for the getaway. So thank you all for checking us out here.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. And like shout out to all the new Jet Lag fans. What are the Jet Lag like people called? We got to figure out a name for us, all of us, because listen, we're all stands at the end of the day.
It's just jet laggers. I don't know.
Ooh. Yeah, we got to figure this out. But either way, it's just all these new Jet Lag fans because of the RHAP, this podcast has felt really exciting because I'm like, yes, one of us. So someone came up to me during RHAP Has a Podcast live show saying thanks for bringing this up when I talked about this on the Amazing Race podcast. So it's just shout out to all of you. And they've really been showing up, interacting in the comments. Like, just y'all are killing it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we have for you for now, but stay tuned. We will be talking with the whole crew. And even Toby, all the way from the other side of the world.
How many time zones will be reflected in this one podcast?
Probably a decent amount. And they have made the time to do it, so we're very grateful to them and
great.
Excited to talk to them. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for joining us this season on Jet Lag the Game, the recap, and we will see all of you next time.